and I'm here talking about Cisco Secure Access and our new AI assistant capabilities, as well as some of our capabilities to help protect organizations from data leaks due to the use of AI by employees. So first, I know that not everybody's familiar with Cisco Secure Access, so I want to kind of go over a little bit about it. It'll be a real quick overview. If you want to find out more about it, you can go to cisco.com. But Cisco Secure Access is our secure service edge. So it offers a cloud-provided security solution for access for your users to both private apps and to internet. And so what we can do is we can provide proxy capabilities, DLP, we can provide many pieces, many security controls within the stack between your user and those applications. So things like DLP, things like malware inspection, firewall, IPS, all of that. I'm going to focus today on the data loss prevention and ChatGPT, as well as other AI solutions, and bringing all of these pieces together and making it work for you and your users is complicated. So what we've done is we've unified the policy. We've taken all of the policies that you would need for all of these different components and brought them together. Now, simplification, things can always be simplified more, right? So in order to do that, we've taken and added an assistant to this unified policy. And what that can do is that can help you, it can help augment the administrator's capabilities as well as automate repeatable processes so that you don't have to spend time writing the same rules over and over again. So you don't have to worry about what rules are in the list and how to create those rules. You can just have your AI assistant do it for you, right? So, so we're going to talk about specifically the capabilities of the AI assistant to reduce the amount of time that it takes to configure policy. We've actually given some of these capabilities to our customers in the field to try them out. They found that it does reduce the time that it takes to deploy by about 70%, and so they can continue to go out and threat hunt and do other activities. And with AI being an asset to some organizations, we also know that employees are using them, but they're not always using them safely or in a way that is the best way for the company, either leaking company secrets, uploading code to repositories, or even sending PII and things like that out to the internet, or making it part of the AI's data lake, right? So we need to be able to allow them to use those, monitor that use, as well as prevent them from doing things that would compromise the company. So again, I said that we can write the policy and reduce the time. We can take this time down to about 10 seconds, and we can intelligently create multiple rules at the same time, performing different actions for different users and different groups, and we're going to see that in a demo towards the end of this presentation. The other thing that we'll do is we'll look at how we can monitor and control your employees' access to AI and ChatGPT and other applications where they may be uploading sensitive data. So without further ado, let's get into the demos. The first demo will be a video. However, the second demo will be live, so wish me luck on that one. So basically what we're looking at here is there's Jeff, let's just call him Jeff, sitting at his computer, and he is trying out some code. He's written this code, and he wants to upload it to ChatGPT and ask him a question. But first, just to show that he has access to ChatGPT, maybe he's looking up a recipe. He wants to know how to make pumpkin pie. So he types in, asks ChatGPT, hey, how do I make pumpkin pie? He gets his recipe out, and he's happy with that. He's going to go and bake his pie. But before he does that, he wants to know whether his code or not is going to actually run and work in production. So he's going to ask ChatGPT to check it out. So now that he's got that implemented, let's get that out of the way, maybe. You can see that ChatGPT doesn't know what he's talking about, right? So ChatGPT says, hey, something went wrong. we need you to resubmit. But what really happened in the background is we have secure access in between Jeff and ChatGPT. And you can see we've been monitoring all of his uses of ChatGPT. And we're going to take a look at one of the blocks and the information that we provide inside secure access when a block or monitoring action is taking place. So you can see it's blocked. You can see he's coming from a specific desktop. You can see that he is on ChatGPT. He hit the rule, and you can see snippets of his code. And we'll do this for PII and things like that. With PII, we redact parts of the well, social security numbers, credit card numbers, things like that, if it's in there. But we do give you snippets so that you know why we blocked it, and you can go in and you can create your remediation actions. Right now, we're going to look at what the policy actually looks like and how we design it in order to be able to block this. And it's not as complex as it could be, right? So here's the rule. We just have a data classification, and we have a severity level. So we're going to set the severity level to high. The data classifications are AI ML monitoring. We're going to dig into that one in a minute, but we're also blocking PII as well as part of this, this rule. And you can see we're just looking at the source code. And if we dive into what source code is defined as, you can see that it is a built-in data identifier, and it's going to recognize several different languages and keywords within those languages based on just checking a box and saying, hey, I'm looking for source code. So as we move through the policy, let's see where we're going next. So you can see we have other data classifications there. So as we have our data classification, we have our rule. We can edit that further. And you can see we can add labels. We can look for labels within the files. We can say who we want to match within as a source so that we can monitor specific people and specific devices, as well as all of these other categories that we have within applications in order to monitor them. So it's not just AI that we're focused on, even though that's what's big now, right, that everybody's talking about, and that's something that we need to be aware of. There's several other categories like social media and things like that as well within the list that we would need to be filtering or monitoring within an organization in order to protect reputation as well as trade secrets and things like that. You see we have OpenAI and ChatGPT selected of 2 of the 70 that we recognize. And as well, you can exclude destinations. We have our actions of allow or monitors or block or monitors so that you can do that. As well as we can't interact as ChatGPT, but we can send them an email and say, hey, we saw you upload this code, and you shouldn't, we don't use AI or public AI to enhance our code or find out what's going on. We need to use our internal resources. All right, and that is how we protect organizations and prevent people from employees or other folks uploading either sensitive information or code to the internet.
Just one question.
Yep.
The user notification can only be via email, or can you also give the user a pop-up or something like that?
So for DLP, it's only going to be an email. For other actions like warn or block and things like that, we can redirect them to a page. But because that doesn't actually load another page, we're not giving them a pop-up. We're just sort of in between as a proxy.
Kind of, if a developer that doesn't know about all this filtering would be just on a ChatGPT side, would look for him kind of odd until he checks his email. Yeah, so
yeah, it's like, hey, my computer doesn't work. You might call support or something. But it's better to inconvenience a little bit than to be in the news the next day, right? Because now you're all of a sudden your meeting notes or top secret information is out on the internet and was discovered because somebody asked ChatGPT about it.
And I guess on the classification, besides the predefined one, if you're good at regex, you can make everything happen?
Yes, we do have exact data match, EDM and IDM, so that you can actually upload information and match whatever you want to match as part of DLP. So it goes beyond just recognizing ChatGPT. We've had this capability in the product for several years, right? So this is just an added capability because of the prominence of AI and folks using it at the workplace.
How do you do this when a client uses Quick?
So because this is redirecting them and sending them through our proxy, we would downgrade them to TLS 1.2 typically. So we wouldn't decrypt Quick. We would just downgrade them, right? Okay. So that we can decrypt it because we are in the data path.
But okay, Cisco Secure Access still promoting Quick and Mask as a relaying proxy?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's good for protecting data, for protecting your data, but you want to also be able to monitor, right? And control it. It is a fine line, right, to walk, but it is something that we need to be able to do, and we're working on other products, right? Actually using AI and other pieces to be able to recognize encrypted data within, or data within encrypted tunnels, right? So that we can find the fingerprint of malicious activity or things like that. We wouldn't be able to read, right, the actual data, but we might be able to recognize the IOCs and things like that within the stream. So,
how is the support for Copilot? Can you do the same thing for a Copilot like you do for ChatGPT?
I believe that it is in that list of 70. So I don't remember specifically. Copilot, I know Bard and all of those are on there, and like Bing chat. So as long as it's going to a web service and can be proxied, that's what we would see.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So, okay. So now let's perform a live demo of the chat assistant, right? So our policy assistant, or our AI assistant here, is going to help me write a couple rules. Now, when I first load it up, it goes ahead and lets me know that it's here, and lets me know that, hey, privacy, we're not sending this. We're not actually a data leak source either. We're keeping all this private, as well as we're not using this information, right? For any sort of anything, right? Marketing, anything like that. It's specifically to help you write rules, and we're building this across our firewalls, across XDR, and in secure access. So here we go. And yeah, we want to just make sure that, hey, this is natural language, so you can just tell it what you want to do in whatever way that you want, and we will provide feedback. And you have to verify these rules too. So it's not something that you tell it what to do, it does it, and then you've committed, right? These rules come in as disabled so that you can go verify them as you go. So here we go. We're going to create a single rule, but we can create rules with multiple. We're going to do that next. So let's see. I want to say allow Justin to access AWS Jira. And so now, hey, it says that Justin matches multiple, so I have to select myself, and then I have to, oh. So it also says that, hey, you typed that wrong. So let's just type in Jira. So this is beta, as we have, but it is going through and checking everything. So we have two different applications defined. One of them is AWS Jira, so that's what I'm going to select and add. And so now it's going to create that rule for me. So it created rule 90, and it says generated by the assistant, right? I can look at it and I can review it, and that's okay, but I really don't want it to have that name. It wasn't exactly great, but let's go and actually tell it what name we want then, because we don't want it to just look like a random rule. So let's go up to our assistant here, and let's say allow Jeff to access YouTube and warn sales when gambling. So we've got some problem with sales making risky activities. So we're gonna actually allow Jeff to go to YouTube and warn our sales group when they go to gambling sites. So we'll just say, hey, we want to name one of them allow YouTube, and we'll just misspell it here. And whoops, so we need to tell it, at least we need, even the person needs to know that, hey, name them allow YouTube and warn gambling. Sorry, I'm typing over my shoulder. This is not how I normally sit at my desk. All right, so you can see we have multiple Jeffs, so we're going to say, hey, Jeff Finelli. And I did mistype a couple things. I apologize. So obviously, so let's just say streaming video, access to streaming video. Or, you know what? We're going to allow them social media. So I know that we named that social networking. So we'll name that social media. And I believe, yep, I have too many spaces.
So for example, if you hit the same policy twice, what kind of alert?
If you type in the same policy twice.
For example, it's already list, then it will
Right.
trigger.
So we do have that capability for our firewall. And what will happen is in the firewall, I don't know why it's adding that extra space for me. Let's just say allow.
Name wrong, by the way.
I think it recognizes that though. I think it does have some editing there, but I appreciate that. Wow, it keeps resetting me to YouTube. It's the last time I do it live with a beta project.
I mean,
So if I leave it, it's going to keep asking me to clarify. Go ahead.
so if you leave, for example, you type in YouTube. So if you leave the E, it still understands what you want, or you have to be exactly written YouTube.
No, so it has recognized misspellings in the past, and I've done these exact ones. So I don't know why. I've got the demo gremlins at this point, but let's just say warn. It has decided that it does not like me today.
Regarding accuracy,
So
accuracy,
yes.
So
you can be inaccurate a bit, and you can use different words. Like I keep saying allow, you can say permit, you can say other words. Jeff wants to go to YouTube or something like that, and you can be natural there. But obviously right now I'm having some technical issues here to actually have it accept those rules that we tested earlier. So let me
Does it? It's
Go ahead.
obviously asked you to clarify specific words there.
Yes.
Does it ever ask you to clarify your intent? Like, does it ever ask you like clarifying questions on what you're trying to do?
I haven't tried that. But yeah,
Try allow any.
it does do that. I'm hoping that fires a warning. Well, so it's disabled, and you can you go review it.
Question, it
right?
is correct,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it actually doesn't like you to do an allow any. It tells you that's wrong.
I think
which I've done.
I was more thinking so things like where you generated that rule and it just randomly made that name that wasn't helpful.
Yeah.
It knows that it's going to have to create the rule name.
Right.
Why not just get it to say, what do you want to call this rule?
That's true. So as we move forward, that is something that we would absolutely want to build into the product. Like, hey, if you tell me to do something, do you want me to give you
things that I need to know?
Exactly. And it does prompt you as soon as you come in, hey, I need no source destination and rule action. But yeah, if you don't give me one of those, it should respond, but it doesn't today. But that is something that we can definitely develop for. So, okay. So, you know what? We have how much time left? We have 25 minutes. So I have this recorded as well. So why don't we do that since apparently I can only create one rule today that way. So if we come in and we look at the recording, I can show you what was supposed to happen. Let's get past all of this. Yes. As soon as we... All right. So you can see, same sort of thing, allow Naveen to Jira and name the rule access to Jira, and it responds with, great, I've created a rule for you, access to Jira. And you can see it's a private access rule because Jira is a private app within this organization. And so we can set that destination and we see that it's disabled. I've checked it out. I know that it's written correctly. I can come in and enable it. And now I'm allowing Naveen access to Jira.
It's not in a way that you have to do it, you have to add it manually, right? If you want to add it. It's not,
yes, you would edit.
Just added this one.
Today, yes. In other testing and in other products like our firewall, we're able to say, hey, this rule already exists with allow for Justin, so we're going to add Naveen to that rule, right? So there is intelligence, there is roadmap to build this to be more intelligent and access more rules, but today it's going to just create the rule. And that's why we're beta and testing it and moving forward that way.
Can you ask it, do I have a rule that does?
You can for the firewall. You can't do it here.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So, and you can even, we're even looking at things like, hey, tell me the top 5 rules that are hit. Tell me which rules aren't being hit. Tell me, like all of those types of things. And even looking into, hey, what happens if Justin tries to go, right? Like, what is the action? What does he get monitored? Does he get blocked? Does he get warned? Things like that.
Will it flag up if there's a conflicting rule?
Okay.
Yeah, so again, that's something that's being developed for secure access, but for the firewall, it will look for shadowed rules as well as rules that would conflict. Like, hey, you're saying allow any, but we have another rule for this that says block, right?
Have you also feed it so the CDO one knows all the documentation? So I tried out several stuff. So how do I do X, Y, Z? And give me a very detailed, you have to do step 1, 2, 3 to accomplish this. Have you this portion also here integrated in the secure access?
As far as getting some sort of instruction on how to do something?
Exactly. I don't know. I want to onboard an umbrella API integration, whatever. And then,
so that does bring up a good point, actually. So this is right now a policy assistant, but it will be throughout the product, right? So to your point, API configuration, on the API configuration page, on the reporting page, anywhere that you are within secure access or in the products that we're building the AI assistant into, you would be able to ask it questions about that section, right? I don't know what those questions are today, and I don't know how we're training those exactly, but that is definitely on the roadmap to build this throughout the product, not just for policy.
so the CDO implementation is one step ahead of that.
Yes.
One. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Got it.
Exactly. Yeah. I believe we started with CDO and XDR, and now we have secure access. There's a little bit of difference in architecture because this is all cloud-based versus those those started out, right, and were a lot longer to
Yeah, and
solution
often
for that.
for us, if we want to do something just one time, it's tedious to read all this documentation, can save some time. Yeah, so it's also a good use case.
Absolutely. And I as much as I like to read manuals going to sleep and things like that, it would be nice to ask the question, right? And so absolutely, those are things.
The reporting function, can it only create things, or can it do reporting on the firewall policies already?
So for firewall, right, it can, but for secure access, it's not going to do.
Okay.
Yep.
Because it's also great, just sharing. I love it. So show me all the changes over the last 30 days in this policy by name and time, and then you have a nice table and it's instant created.
Well, I was thinking, like, show me the ones that aren't even touched within this amount of time.
Right, yeah.
Remove them.
Yeah. And like we have the audit log that actually shows us all of the things that we've done within the AI assistant, as well as if you do it manually, do it the old-fashioned way, right? It's going to tell you, so you would be able to have that AI on that page to help you go through the audit logs as well.
Is there a plan to do the querying besides just the auditing?
Yes.
Or just the creation, the plan?
Yes,
Do you know,
absolutely.
like,
I
When?
don't have timeline. No.
That's okay. So disappointed.
Good try.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a side note on that, there were in the past a lot of third-party firewall auditing tools additionally and so on.
Yep.
I think you pretty much covered a lot of their use cases with this AI integration. Yeah, so will be, let's say, a tough sell for a third-party product because you can give basically the reports and all that already out with that. Yeah, so
Right, and it helps onboard new folks, and especially if you can ask those questions and you're maybe not familiar with the rules that are inside there, then you say, hey, what are those rules? What are they doing? And get spun up much faster than scrolling through and trying to figure out which one you're going to hit. Right? You just ask the assistant.
because you mentioned future, also the DLP portion. Yeah, it's kind of a special skill, often very regex related, and this is perfect for, I think, such an implementation. Yeah, to help with DLP policy creation. Yeah.
Yes, and the other identifiers that you saw in there were like PII, and there's one for GDPR. There's several pre-built identifiers that you don't. It's just a checkbox, just like it is for source code. We're just highlighting the source code here. So you've got several categories that are probably around 80, I think.
So there you've done individual users. I assume you can do groups.
Yes. In fact, we may have even done a group here if we haven't. But I made it so that you could say sales in the other one because I did have a group named sales. And actually, let's see, did I keep that up? Let's just make sure I'm in the right. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's right. You did say
Yeah.
sales, didn't you? Yeah.
I did, and so I don't need to add a rule. That's the way I normally do it. But let's actually, we've got 18. I think it's time to move on to experience insights.
I just want
trying to make this dashboard work.
Is there a kind of a wish list that people can or companies can do a wish to add some?
So we don't have that in Secure Access to be able to set that. That is something that we need to put on here. We do talk about that in the introduction to this, so that's definitely something that needs to be on there, and I'm sure that we're building that. I haven't specifically dug into that portion of it.
How are you adding those categories? So for like the AI, you say you've got 70.
Right.
Obviously, like every day, there's more AI companies popping up and all that kind of stuff. How are you populating that? Is that through Talos?
It's through Talos. Yeah, Talos is our threat intelligence, and for those that aren't aware, is our threat intelligence group that does threat hunting, our categorizations, and everything else. It's a large team of folks that have all the tools and capabilities to be able to do that for us, and it informs all of our security products. So, absolutely. Okay. All right, and so without further ado, my esteemed colleague Fei Li here will talk to you about experience insights and how you can monitor and troubleshoot user experience.
Thanks, Justin. So my name is Fei Li, and I'm another TME on the Secure Access team. So we're going to transition topics a little bit right now. So what I'm going to be covering is a new feature within Secure Access called Experience Insights. And the whole purpose of it is to provide some insight into the digital experience of the users that are connected to our service. Right, so as Justin had mentioned previously, this is our complete SSE solution here. We have all of these capabilities built into the product. What I'm going to be focusing on right now is this portion right here, which is our digital experience monitoring capability that we just released last week, I believe it is. Okay, and so now that we've got our users connected to our service, and we've got our policies, clever policies, built by our AI assistant, policy assistant, right? We've got the users, now they're able to connect. They're now accessing their applications from wherever they are in the world, and then those applications will be also any place in the world. And so Now you need to kind of deliver a seamless user experience for your connected users, right? So they'll be calling up and they may be having some issues. And what we need to do as the administrators of the service, as part of what we're building in here, is the capability within our dashboard to provide insights for these users as they are trying to access their application. So we provide information about how we can troubleshoot that experience, right? Is that user, they call up and said, I'm having problems getting to an application.
Just need to check your microphone. Oh, yeah. Can we pull your hair back here a little bit just so we're not getting rubbing?
Sorry.
No, that's perfect.
Okay. Girl problems, I'm sorry.
I know.
But then I don't have a mirror. Never mind. I did not.
Slip back here. Your right shoulder. There we go.
Okay. Hair problems. Okay. So we have our user connected and they're having troubles, right? So then, as the administrator, we're looking at the dashboard here and then, the user is saying, we're trying to determine, is this user having issues because of their home network? Is it their Wi-Fi problem? Is it the ISP? Maybe, hey, they're trying to access this application. Maybe that application isn't even online. Or if it is, maybe there's some performance issues trying to reach that particular application. So we want to be able to provide all of these insights for the administrator to be able to help their users that are connected. And we're doing this with our new feature called Experience Insights that's built into our secure access solution. And again, with this, it's powered by ThousandEyes, Cisco ThousandEyes. And with the help from Cisco ThousandEyes, we're going to be able to provide some insights and go ahead and monitor the endpoint performance like CPU, memory, their Wi-Fi connection, monitor network performance from, let's say, the user, wherever they are in the world, connecting to our service. That's where there might be troubles there, as well as from our cloud infrastructure, right? They're connecting to our cloud infrastructure and they're going to exit our cloud to reach those applications. From our cloud to those applications, what's going on there? That'll give us a kind of an end-to-end view and try to help the user kind of figure out why they're experiencing some problems.
Right?
Yes, pure troubleshooting. Exactly. All right.
And just ThousandEyes is a long-term Tech Fit Day presenter, yeah.
Okay.
We know pretty much the capabilities, but this is now integrated into the SSE dashboard without us having to go to an extra dashboard to view the monitoring, yeah.
Exactly. And so what we are providing within Secure Access is the monitoring capabilities powered by ThousandEyes within our own dashboard. And what you're going to be able to view are the users that are connected to our service. That's the information that we're going to provide you. And this integration that we have with ThousandEyes, you can directly, if you're an existing ThousandEyes customer, you can integrate our Secure Access org with that. If you don't have ThousandEyes subscription, as part of our service, we're going to provide you a ThousandEyes org only enabled with the capabilities to be able to monitor the users of our service. The additional capabilities of ThousandEyes, you would need to go ahead and purchase the right subscription.
So everybody
capabilities.
So everybody who worked with ThousandEyes will feel like home, yeah?
Yes. Yes.
It's possible also to monitor users that doesn't have the agent. I mean, only from the cloud to the service, like Internet of Things that connected to the SASE.
So your question is, can we monitor endpoints that don't have the agent installed?
Yeah, traffic that don't have the agent, basically.
They have traffic, but the agent, the ThousandEyes endpoint agent is not installed. We cannot do that. We're only monitoring. This data is coming from the ThousandEyes endpoint agent that's built into the Cisco Secure Client, and that's part of the Cisco Secure Client where the users are using that particular client to onboard themselves to our service. So within the Secure Client, there are several different modules, right? So there's the module for AnyConnect remote access VPN. There's also a new module as part of Secure Access, our Zero Trust Network Client Agent. That's part of there, as well as you've got the traditional umbrella roaming module there. And then when you're installing that agent on your endpoint machine, as part of that, you could also install the ThousandEyes agent as well. And so with that installed on the endpoint machine, that's how we're getting the data from the endpoint machine and sending that information into our dashboard for the administrator to view. Does that make sense?
Was nicer when the names were like AMP and umbrella. Now everything is secure. It's confusing. Yeah.
Yeah. And what is in the, is this one in the integrated in the security end user agreement? This feature?
The security end user agreement?
In portfolio. If the customer wants to have a security end user agreement, is this part of that agreement?
You mean
Is it the enterprise agreement?
The enterprise agreement. Well, it's part of, so yes, the enterprise agreement. So you're going to be able to get this capability when you purchase Secure Access. So Secure Access, the solution itself, is not part of an EA today, but it will be later on.
ThousandEyes is, right?
Yes, it is, right? Or as part of the user protection suite, you'll be able to get this capability. Okay. All right, so right now what I'd like to do is kind of move right into a demonstration. So I'm looking at this, my org here. This is a live demonstration. And so what we're looking at here, right from our overview screens, I can go to Experience Insights, go to Management, and that's what we're looking at. But before I do that, I want to kind of pivot over here and just give you a view of how we can go ahead and integrate the Secure Access, Secure Access with ThousandEyes. So all we need to do is go to the ThousandEyes dashboard. We'll get a token, enter that token in here, and now the two organizations are integrated with each other. What here I'm showing here down here is the agent, the string that registers those endpoint agents. So, right, you install the client software on the end user's machine. Great. Now to tie that user's machine to this particular org, Secure Access org, in order to be able to monitor it, you need to register it with our organization. And this is the string that you would use to go ahead and register the agent. Or perhaps as part of installing the Cisco Secure Client, as part of that bundled package, you could also enter in the token and this registration key. And so the end user wouldn't need to do this step afterwards. It's all part of the installation package. All right. Once this is done, we can go here and take a look at this dashboard. Right. So here's our overview. And what we're looking at here is now we've got a map of all of the users around the world that are connected to our Secure Access service. So you can see here we've got some hotspots of here in North America, Europe, and Asia. You can scroll and just get a holistic view of all the users that are connected to the service. You can view them by who's online currently, who's offline. And if I want to go ahead and drill in a little bit more, I can by just clicking. And again, so now that we get to start drilling into more of the details of where the users are located. And then if we hover over, we get this information here. This is indicating this user was connected at one point in time. That's how we know that they existed, but they're offline right now. the blue icons right here. These users are online. And again, if I click, I know that it's this user, Ima, and she's actually online, and we can get some more detail about her connection. I'll dive into that in just a little bit. What I want to go, before I do that, I want to go down here a little bit more and take a look at, that was the map view of being able to see all the users on this that's using the service. Here, down here in this section here, we've got a list of all those users. And what you're able to see here in this particular summary view, right? Who is connected, where they're located. We get some information about their device, their connection speed to our service, a little bit of the, the performance of their connection. Now, all of these users here are not on Wi-Fi, so that's the reason why the stats there are not visible. But now we've got a summary view just of information of the endpoints that are connected. And we also have this view here of the health status. So very quickly, we can see that of these users, who's offline, and of those that are online, and then with that endpoint agent that we're monitoring, what's their health status. So this user calls in, hopefully it wouldn't be this particular user calling in because they've got a healthy connection, right? But here, this particular user, the health status is at risk. We could go ahead and double click and get more detail about that user's connection. I'll do that in just a moment. I want to be able to just scroll down over this, go through this overview page. So I've been focusing a lot about the endpoint and their connection to our service, right? This part of the dashboard is now talking about the applications that the users are trying to reach. So from our service to those applications, what's the performance? What's the response time, right? What we can do here is I've got a view up above of where my user is connected. But from here, I can say, well, okay, so this user is connected in London. Let's go ahead and take a look at the data center in London. And now these top commonly used SaaS applications that we're already, with the service we're monitoring, right, we can get an idea of the latency, the response time between our service, our cloud service, and those SaaS applications. And this will change by region.
Will this also be integrated in Meraki dashboard, or?
Will it be integrated in the Meraki dashboard? That's a very good question. That would be a question for the Meraki team to...
The wish list.
A wish list, yeah. They may be. But yeah, right now I'm just familiar with the secure access integration. All right, so here's the list of the SaaS applications. Now I want to go ahead and drill into a particular user.
So just quickly, the latency and the jitter there, that is to your secure access service?
Yes,
yeah.
Right. So then the users to our VPN headend, to our edge data center, measuring that latency there, okay? Now, I know that I have a particular user that is connected right now. Let me go ahead and filter for him, okay? And so I see here for this particular user, they're calling in and they're having problems, and the health status is got this at risk. Okay, let's go ahead, drill in, and see what the issue is. And so with this page right here, right, we've got a really good view of the details of the end user's system. Where they are located, their device, the IP address, the version of software that they're running, right? All of this information may be helpful for the troubleshooting purposes, right? And then down here, in terms of the endpoint performance, measuring, you're familiar with the ThousandEyes agent, right? Measuring the CPU utilization, memory utilization, their connection to the network. All of these kind of details, as we know, are pertinent to being able to troubleshoot why they may be having a poor experience trying to reach a particular application.
So more and more client analytics, right?
This is specifically client analytics, yes.
Are you pulling out things like laptop model, wireless NIC, you know, the actual model of the NIC that's in the card, the driver that's running on that? Because there could obviously be a problem with the physical hardware, but there might be a problem with, say, the driver. So it might show that you've got bad Wi-Fi experience, and this, I guess, would say bad Wi-Fi experience, but it doesn't necessarily tell you why. It will tell you your signal's great, or your signal's not great, but you might be right next to an AP and it still give you bad performance. Does it give you any of that?
Okay, so it's a very good question. And so the information that we're getting is the information from the ThousandEyes endpoint agent. So that particular data, the data that we get is what the ThousandEyes agent can provide us.
That's client analytics. Because you want to have more information about the client, for NIC, Wi-Fi signal, RSSI, SNR, etc.
It comes from the endpoint client. There's a couple of things here. What we're looking to do in this screen here, or in this view here, is to identify the domain of responsibility.
Yeah.
So therefore, you're absolutely right. You want to know what's happening on that level there. But from what we're looking at, we don't have hooks from the endpoint agent to be able to see that level in interface. Now, we mentioned earlier that obviously as part of this, you get the org, and the whole idea is to have this data in the context that the security people need to understand within here. But you can, and you'll see in there, the launch ThousandEyes, you can pivot into the ThousandEyes one. So we've identified the problems on the endpoint. You now pivot into ThousandEyes console, and that's with a different silo or different group. Again, we still can't see the interface and that level, but you have more information. So soon you'll be able to see things like process ID. So, and they're relevant to consumption, things like that. So, sorry interrupting.
It is shown very nicely there in the middle.
The what?
Look at local network. There you see the adapter.
Yeah.
All right, and so right here in the center here, what we've got we've got a nice view here. So here's the destination. This is our cloud edge over here. This is where this is the data center that the user is connecting to, the IP address of it, and then measuring the connection from the average latency, jitter, and loss from the endpoint to our cloud edge. So here are the metrics that we're receiving, right? And as we can see here, we've got this particular endpoint CPU utilization is pegged completely. And so we've got, healthy, green, at risk, and then the red would be warning, 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 something is seriously wrong, right? And whenever we get that type of information, right, we have some suggested remediation actions presented to suggest to the user as to how they could help better their connection to the application. We're also...
This information stored in a time series database, so you can scroll back and understand what the user experience was, or is this only a real-time view?
So this is a real-time view. We don't really capture much. We're not trying to keep the data. We're trying to provide you a real-time view. The most data that we hold is maybe up to 4 days for the endpoint. So you'll get a little bit of a history there.
So that loss percentage is calculated over what time frame?
Every couple of minutes, I think it is.
Okay. So it's refreshed every couple of minutes. Okay.
Yes. Trying to provide you that real-time information here. And then also as part of the service, right, we've got the endpoint information. We've also got automated tests, trying to just monitor some of the common SAPS applications. So in this integration, what I wasn't able to show you because I already integrated it was part of it, when you're integrating the two organizations together, you'll be asked, of the common SaaS applications, WebEx, so on and so forth, which ones would you like to see data on? And I happen to choose, Cisco WebEx. Okay. All right. And so now we're monitoring, we've got the application score. So, looking for this user, even though their their CPU utilization is pegged and they may be having some issues accessing other applications, at least WebEx is working quite well. And then again, down here, we can get real-time data of the latency loss and jitter of the application. Now,
that score, sorry, is that just like a set standard SLA that has been decided by someone, or is that something that you can adjust? You could say, I need it to have X, Y, Z.
There's no SLA there. We're just monitoring the active web, and just getting stats there.
Okay.
If that makes sense, right? And so, unfortunately, right now this doesn't look very interesting. So this user is logged into WebEx because we are able to get this stats. But what we are doing, what fills this data down here, the graph data here, is an active WebEx connection. So actually being on a call in a meeting and being able to do that. And so this user is simply logged in, but they're not actively on a WebEx conference call at the moment. So that there's no graph data being shown. Makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So again, going back here, pivoting into these locations, just what I showed you, that was one way of accessing the information. You could also pivot directly in from the dashboard view as well.
On that main view, is there a way to just say, don't show me if they've got a great experience, I just want to see the ones that are having a poor experience?
Yes. So this is the version that just shipped. I think we will be building that. There was a filter. It's not there right now. Okay.
You can also see the MOS score, for example, out of a WebEx conversation, out of the client.
You can see
all those kind of statistics.
Yes.
Out of the client analytics.
Yes.
You can also see the MOS score.
That's probably going back into the ThousandEyes thing, right? So it's probably, that's just to say, look, the problem isn't here, it's at the end point. Go into ThousandEyes and have a look.
Sorry.
So to do a MOS, I need agent to agent, so I need RTP. So what we actually do from the endpoint, what we're doing here in the dynamic test, the automated session test, is we're essentially validating the network conditions. So what would it be to be able to run RTP over that? So we're not actually producing a MOS or an R factor or anything around that. We're saying these are network conditions, and then sort of computating up, say this is the experience score you get for that application by combining the latency loss and jitter. Cool.
All right.
How come that on that client the client was pegged at 100% CPU, but here it shows 1.50?
It shows 15 where?
No, it was a different one.
It's a different
client.
So it was a different client. It was my Eng2 client that we were specifically looking at. All right.
Memory's creeping up now as well.
Yeah. It's an automated test that I'm running on the machine. All right. So that's pretty much, that's the demo that I wanted to share with you today. And again, this is part of Secure Access is a single, you can purchase it with a single SKU. And as part of that SKU, you do get this kind of ThousandEyes capability without any additional licensing or cost to be able to do the monitoring that you need to do the basic troubleshooting of your users as they are accessing applications through our Secure Access service.
Because the ThousandEyes, the trial, not the subscription, can only have 1,200 flows, I think, right? Monitor 1,200 flows out of ThousandEyes.
Okay.
No,
But I know. Not that.
He's good.
So are you asking, is there a limit to what
yeah, out of the flows, yeah.
out of the flows? I don't believe so. You can quote. I mean, as part of
No, we look
the
at
agreement between the integration, right?
correct.
It's just
So there's so where we work is on units. So how many the test consumes so many units as opposed to flows. So we're looking at that. So what we're doing from the endpoint, this is embedded. So this is everything you got included now. Including that is things like one dynamic test. So you said we choose WebEx, Teams, Zoom, whichever you want there. And then it's the other tests under there. But there's no limitation on what it does in there. It's actually testing the function that we've got there. The only limitation there is from that proxy out or from the device out. And that is then, it's the 20 most common SaaS applications that you have through from there. And that's testing that beyond to the endpoint from that.
And that's dynamic. It's just whatever 20 that is getting.
No, it's actually the 20 we built. So from the start perspective, it's what we consider to be the 20 most common in there. So it's not a top or not choosing. It's just a 20 selection.